Gopichana Baba Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvachakacharya Asatar Sata Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 18, The Battle Between Lord Bor and Hiranyaksha, Text 3. Ahainam Ehyagya Mahim Vimuncha No Rasaukasam Vishva Srijayam Arpita Na Swasti Yasyasi Anaya Mamekshataha Suradam Asadita Shukara Krite Ahainam Ahainam Mahim Vimunchano Rasaukasam Vishwa Srijayam Arpita Naswasti Yasyanaya Mamekshataha Suradam Asadita Shukara Krite Ahainam Ehyagya Mahim Vimunchano Rasaukasam Vishma Srijayam Arpita Naswasti Yasya Yanaya Mamekshataha Suradam Asadita Shukara Krite Ahainam Ekyagya Mahim Vimunchano Rasaukasam Vishma Srijayam Arpita Naswasti yasya niyamamekshataha Saradamasadita sukarakrite Anamekagamahimushano Swasti yasyanayamakshata Saradamasadita sukarakrite Vaishnavis. Hiranyaksha said, Enam to the Lord. Ehi, come and fight. Agya, O fool. Mahim, the earth. Vimuncha, give up. Naha, to us. Rasa Aukasam, of the inhabitants of the lower regions. Vishvasraja, by the creation of the universe. By the creator of the universe. Sham, Yam, this earth. Arpita, entrusted. Na, not. Swasti, well-being. Yasyasi, you will go. Anaya, with this. Mama ikshataha, while I am seeing. Sura Adama, O lowest of the demigods. Asadita, having taken. Sukara, Akrite, the form of a boar. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation: the demon addressed the Lord, O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. Purport. Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, states that although the demon wanted to deride the personality of Godhead in the form of a boar, actually he worshipped him in several words. For example, he addressed him as Vanagochara, which means, quote, one who is resident of the forest, end quote. But another meaning of Vanagochara is, quote, one who lies on the water, end quote. Vishnu lies on the water as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's see if I got that right. Yeah, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead can properly be addressed in this way. The demon also addressed him as Mriga, indicating unintentionally that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. He also addressed him as Agya. Sridhar Swami says that Gya means knowledge, and there is no knowledge which is unknown to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, therefore, the demon said that Vishnu knows everything. The demon addressed him as Suradama. Sura means the demigods, and Adama means Lord of all there is. He is Lord of all the demigods, therefore he is the best of all demigods, or God. When the demon used the phrase, quote, in my presence, end quote, the implied meaning was, in spite of my presence, you are completely able to take away the earth. Na swasti yasi, unquote, unless you kindly take the earth from our custody, there can be no good fortune for us. Om Jnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No, I'm okay. Thank you, though. Sometimes I hear people say, yes, we read Prabhupada's books like the Srimad Bhagavatam, but we should also consult the commentaries. So I was reflecting how Srila Prabhupada's version of Srimad Bhagavatam, his presentation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is a Vedic commentary. But it's addressed to the people of the modern world in the most common accepted language of the modern world, English. And I mean, somehow or other, by some accident of history, English has become the international language. Scientific conferences, no matter where they're held, they're generally held in English. If somebody wishes to become known all over ISKCON, usually they have to, or take some responsible post, they have to know English. So Srila Prabhupada's presentation of Bhagavatam, although it's in English, is a commentary. I was looking at a textbook about the commentaries, and the author cited a verse giving the 5 functions of a commentary on an original Vedic literature like the Srimad Bhagavatam. One function is how to divide the Devanagari script into words. Like if you looked at the last line of the verse in the Devanagari, you'll see it's all continuous. So how do you break it up into different words? According to the way that you do that, you're going to get different meanings. So then, once you have the words, which we have in Srila Prabhupada's transliteration, it's the letters of the Devanagari script are broken up into the proper words. Then, once you have the words isolated, you have to define the meaning of each word. That's a second function of the commentary. And Srila Prabhupada does that in his synonyms. He defines each word. And then a third function of a commentary is to give the meaning of the words in relationship to the other words. In other words, sentences. And Srila Prabhupada does that in his translation. And then the fourth and fifth functions of a commentary are to give grammatical information and to give answers to questions and clarify meanings and things like that. So Srila Prabhupada does those two things in his purport. For example, in this purport, he's giving a summary of what Sridhar Swami, the author of the first commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, gives in terms of alternate meanings of the words used by Hiranyaksha, and actually showing how he's praising Lord Varaha, not trying to put him down as was his intention. He was unintentionally glorifying the Lord. And we see that in many other cases. In the Nectar of Devotion, such things are mentioned in the account of Rukmini, in Dwarka, interpreting what Krishna had to say to her in terms of his not being qualified to be her husband. She interprets it in a different way, gives a different meaning to it, establishing that he is qualified to be her husband and no one else. So that's one point about this verse and purport. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti Mamudha Manushim Tanam Ashrita. So Krishna is there saying, the foolish people, they denigrate me, when they see I've appeared in a human form. So you can just imagine what such atheists think when they hear about the form of God as a varaha, a boar. And Hiranyakshas kind of manifesting that attitude. So Krishna appears in many forms, and they're all transcendental. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvadaha taktva deham punarjanma mameti soeti sarjana. That if we should appreciate that Krishna's appearance and his activities are all transcendental in all of his different incarnations. He's there for the same purpose. Parachunaya sadhunam vinashaya chajushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To protect the devotees, to protect the demigods, like the demigod of the earth, Bhumi. Usually in temple deities and sculptures in India, Varaha is shown with Bhumi. So that they're called Bhumi Varaha deities or sculptures. And he protects the earth, protects the devotees, and destroys the demons, as he will destroy Hiranyaksha coming attractions in this section of the Bhagavatam. So some of the specific details in the use of the Sanskrit words come not from this verse, but from the previous verse. Like in the purport in text 3 here, mentions the two meanings of Vana Gotra, but those words appear in the Sanskrit, the last line of the Sanskrit in text 2 here. And it's the same with the word mriga, which can mean two things. It can mean either to search out, or it can mean an animal. So if we go in this purport in text 3, Srila Prabhupada mentions that indirectly he's indicating that Varaha is searching for him. As he says in the purport, the demon also addressed him as Mrigaha, indicating unintentionally that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. So that's one meaning. And then if we go to text 10 in this chapter, we see that Varaha himself gives a double meaning to this word mriga. He says, Satyam Vayam Vo Vanagochara Mriga. So those words, Vanagochara Mriga, were in the Sanskrit in text too. And Varaha was using them in the sense that I'm hunting after you. You know, you boar, and I'm going to deal with you. But in text 10, Krishna, in the form of Varaha, uses the same words. You know, he says that in the first line of the verse. And the translation reads, the personality of Godhead said, indeed, we are creatures of the jungle, and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. So he gives an alternative meaning. He says, you're not hunting for me, you're the animal, and I'm hunting you. So there's unlimited layers of information and meaning in the verses and the purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think Lord Chaitanya once gave 64 different readings of the verse called the Atma Rama verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we mine these verses and purports very carefully, we can get all kinds of jewels of meaning out of them. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya took the form of Varaha. Once in the house of Murari Gupta, he displayed his form as Varaha and entered into an ecstatic mood, the ecstatic mood of Varaha. He began saying, Shukara, Shukara, and he transformed into the form of a boar. Shukara is the word for boar. And he began to dance, and he actually climbed onto the shoulders of Murari Gupta, and he picked up a water pot, a clay water pot, which represented the earth, and he picked it up and held it. So one name for Lord Chaitanya is Vishvambar, means he's maintaining and protecting the universe. So that's also the function of Lord Varaha, to maintain the universe, maintain the earth, goddess Bhumi, and support her and provide her with the resources to support the population of the earth. So in traveling to South India, Lord Chaitanya visited a temple of Varaha at a place called Vridha Loka. And also, if one goes to Vrindavan and Mathura, one can see there temples of Sveta Varaha and Lal Varaha. It's a reddish form of Varaha. As you've probably heard, Varaha appears in two different forms. One at the beginning of creation, the beginning of the Kalpa, in which he simply raises the earth, which at the end of the last Kalpa had, as it usually does, gone under the ocean that occupies half of the universe, the Garbha ocean. It had descended there, and he raised the earth. Varaha simply raised the earth. And then that was in the form of Sveta Varaha. and there's a temple of that Svaita Varaha in Mathura. And then there was the Lal Varaha, the reddish form of Varaha, which not only raised the earth, but he killed Hiranyaksha. So those two forms of Varaha are mentioned. And the deity of the reddish form of Varaha in this temple in Mathura was, according to the Adi Varaha Purana, was originally manifested mentally by Kapila, and he gave it to Indra, the king of the demigods, and he worshipped it in Indraloka. And then when Ravana defeated Indra, he took it to Lanka, and then when Lord Ram defeated Ravana in Lanka, he gave the kingdom to Vibhishana, who was Ravana's brother, who was actually a devotee of Lord Ramachandra. And Vibhishana asked Ramachandra, he said, you can take anything you want from my kingdom. You've given me this kingdom, Lanka, you take anything that you want. Take the whole thing if you want it. And Ram said, I just want that deity of Varaha. And he took it to Ayodhya for some time. And later, when his brother Shatrughna came to Mathura to kill a demon there, he brought this deity and installed it. And, you know, if you go to Vrindavan and Mathura, you see that there's actually two layers of time represented at the different temples and sacred places there. Of course, the one that mainly concerns us are the places related to Krishna's appearance 5,000 years ago. But there are also Shivalingas and different deities, like the Varaha deity, that were installed by Shatrughna in Treta Yuga. So it's kind of interesting, you know, from that point of view. So those are a few points about today's verse and purport. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Yes. Next.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the interesting explanation you gave about the Sanskrit and the different meanings. And I want to understand this a little bit better. Maybe you can help me. As we've been reading the story of Hiranyaksha, we heard that he's full of envy, he speaks harshly, and a lot of anger. So when he speaks, it sounds like what he said is what he meant. So now my question is this, you know, when the Vaishnavas give the different explanation of the Sanskrit word saying, oh, well, actually, when the demon said this, he means to say indirectly this. Is this because of the bhav, the love that they feel for his Lord, for their Lord, that they can't bear the idea of seeing Lord Vishnu, Krishna being mistreated? This is what I would like to understand. Because in our experience, we see you said something, and that's what it is. In the
Well,
case that you gave of Rumini and Krishna, we know he's joking. We know he's joking, and then Rumini changed the word. Actually, what you mean is this. But in comparison to Iranjaksha, it sounds like what he said is that what he meant.
well, we have to rely on the commentaries, and Srila Prabhupada's commentary says unintentionally. So he wasn't intending, at least in the case of Hiranyaksha, he wasn't, according to this purport, what Srila Prabhupada says in here, it says it was unintentional. He wasn't intending it. But that doesn't mean someone else couldn't have intended it. Like when Lord Chaitanya defeated the Kashmiri Brahmin, Lord Chaitanya said, because he was, Lord Chaitanya at that time, Nimai Pandit, was just a village teacher of elementary grammar. He didn't have any ability or qualification from the external point of view of criticizing or critiquing the elaborate Sanskrit poetry of a really well-educated, qualified scholar of Sanskrit and poetry and literature. But Lord Chaitanya just blew him away. He couldn't speak. Although he was a big Digvijay, which means he defeated in debate other scholars. He was the top scholar in all of India, and this little boy defeats him, so he's just speechless. Lord Chaitanya kind of said, well, it was just your worshipable goddess, Saraswati, giving me the words to confound you. So someone else can be involved, some personality, maybe Krishna, maybe someone else, gave him the words that he spoke with the double meaning that could be recognized by Sridhar Swami, and who would give this reading of it. Or Krishna could give Sridhar Swami the intelligence to understand and appreciate what message he had hidden in the statements of Hiranyaksha. But I'll qualify that by saying the only direct evidence that I can give is what Srila Prabhupada says here. It says, the demon also addressed him as Mriga, indicating unintentionally that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sought after by the great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Question or comment?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I recognized her first.
Prabhu, so translation states, this earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions. What does it mean, the inhabitants of the lower regions? Is there any significance to that?
There's mention of Brasalkasam, and that's a word that means the lower planetary systems. There are, in simple terms, 3 different worlds or systems of planets: the upper, the middle, and the lower. So that's referring to the 7 planets, planetary systems below Bhumandala, below the earthly planetary system. And the Earth had slipped down from its normal position into the Garbha Ocean, and the Rasaukasam are near that level. And so he said, okay, she's come down here, she's been entrusted to us, and you're not going to take her back up, Maharaj.
It is also mentioned that in the lower region, demons reside. Srila Prabhupada in purport once said.
That's actually what I wanted to, because that's how I was understanding the lower regions is the hellish kind of planets, right? And so does it mean that he sees himself as demon, he recognizes he's a demoniac, but by knowing that he's in the lower regions?
Well, most of the inhabitants of the lower planets are demons, but I think Bali Maharaj also exists in one of the lower planets. So sometimes there are devotees there too, but Hiranyaksha, although Hiranyaksha and his brother were actually Jagai and Madhai, they were playing the roles of demons. You had something directly?
No,
Well, I have something completely different, so if you want to continue.
no, I'm not going to continue. I'm just giving to you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, thank you for a nice class. I think one thing that happens often in classes is we lose sight of the major point that's being made if you've read through the whole pastime. And we get sidetracked with all these little details. The main point that came to me after I read the whole pastime is that demons, as we have Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, they actually believed that they could kill Vishnu. They had this idea that yes, he's within the range of my destructive power. And this is a very, very foolhardy idea, and it's only subject to demons who think they're so powerful, so great, so wonderful, and have defeated so many people already. The main point is that we as devotees should always be feeling that God is great, God is glorious, God is amazing, God is powerful, and there is nothing He cannot do. He protects me, He guides me, He directs me. He's all in all. And if I have this wonderful feeling, then what is all the talk? The demons are determined to kill Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu is he's also got a cudgel, or he's got a mace in his hand. And they're going to fight. The whole thing is really for the fighting spirit of Lord Vishnu, so they can have a nice fight and exhibit his skill and show that no demon kills the Lord. In fact, all they can do is put on a show, and that's all that did happen. It was a nice show, but ultimately the demons, both Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, got a very big defeat.
Thank you. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Purana Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.